Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse, and more specifically from beautiful Danville, Illinois, homeland of the Corellian tradition. And this is Midday with Reverend Don, and as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can type your question or comment on whatever platform that you're watching on, assuming that you're watching live, and for the most part, they'll show up here in my chat room. And we can communicate directly that way. And the subject of today's program is the eclipse ritual that I will be doing later this afternoon. And um, I have a few other things to talk about as we go forward as well, but I want to start by saying that on Friday, I believe that I had said that I was going to start the ritual going on 1 p.m. Central. Um, which is when we will start to feel the shadow of the eclipse. Well, thinking about it, I realized that that was going to be a rather long ritual. And so I have moved the time to closer to the totality of the eclipse. So about a quarter of two central. So I hope that you'll join me for that. And I think that we will have a lovely ritual. And one of the things that we're going to be talking about today is how to prepare for that if you want to join me in the ritual. And this ritual is going to involve the crystal web and attuning to the energy of the eclipse in the sense of rebirth and rejuvenation, and in particular, rejuvenating our Corellian homeland, but also our own lives and wherever you happen to be. You can focus the energy however you wish to focus it. And hello to Reverend Antonio in the chat room. It's good to see you, Antonio. And I think that it will be a good day. I had suggested that people might wish to get a crystal to charge as part of this. I said that I was going to get a sunstone. It turned out that instead I was attracted to a gold stone. And this particular stone called to me. It's the stone that I will be using. I'll hold it up to where maybe you can see it a little more. And if you're familiar with goldstone, it's actually a synthetic stone, which is made from natural substances in a reconstituted form, but it has a very long history of use in metaphysics. And my mother was very fond of goldstone, and I have always been as well. So it seemed like an appropriate stone to use, especially since that energy of rebirth in the local area, although it has a number of different dimensions, also includes the prosperity of the area. And goldstone is especially good for prosperity. And it's also strongly solar focused. It's one of the various solar stones. And hello to Renee in the chat room. It's good to see you, Renee. Well, again, this will be my stone. Your stone can be a plain old clear quartz crystal. That's perfectly fine. Or any of a number of other stones, any stone that appeals to you, really. But the various solar stones, such as goldstone, such as sunstone, such as citrine, um, these would be the ideal stones for attuning with the equinox. And again, what do we see as the energy of the equinox? Do we think it's going to provoke the Christian rapture? Well, we should be so lucky. I have no such anticipation. And hello to SwackFan in the chat room. It's good to see you, SwackFan. Rather, I would say it has to do with releasing the old when the light of the sun disappears, and then manifesting rebirth as it returns. So our focus is on that act of the return of the sun. Um, if you think about it, you know that I often speak about the chaos moment, that moment when all things become possible. And of course, the chaos moment is really every moment um, when you take the action of breaking existing patterns. In this case, the universe itself is breaking existing patterns, at least theoretically, and it's giving us a perfect chaos moment, which allows for releasing a new beginning and allows for setting new directions. So that's how I look at the eclipse, and I choose to look primarily at that aspect of rebirth. Now, in Corellian theology, the idea of the great dragon of the universe, though not spoken of all that often, is a feature of things we write about. And this is simply the Tao of the energy of the universe, the flow of that energy. Sometimes portrayed as a dragon. In our psychic exercises, we talk about this. We talk about the great symbol of the Ouroboros, the universal serpent, which is also the serpent of prophecy, which also um, figures strongly in our teachings, if not necessarily something that we hammer on. That symbolism can be important to us, and in a manner of speaking, um, the eclipse is the rebirth of the dragon, the rebirth of the flow of the universe, the rebirth of the sun, the rebirth of whatever attunes itself to that energy. Now, one of the things I want to talk about today is how to create a crystal access point if you don't already have one. You can do that during this ritual. You can do it leading up to the ritual if you prefer. Um, and during the ritual, we want to bless our stones, and it will be important to focus on that energy of blessing. Now, to attune your stone to the energy of the eclipse, it really is enough just to leave it in the light of the eclipse as it happens. Having charged it to attune itself, it will do so. But because we also want to use it in alignment with the crystal web, we're going to bless it in that way as well. So during the course of this half hour, I'm going to lead you through how to prepare a crystal for a crystal web access point, which is also how I plan to bless the stone. And this will be part of what we do later in the ritual. And I said that I want to talk about a couple of other things. Yesterday, we did our first episode of Pagan News, which is a collaboration between Corellian TV, Divination TV, Pagan TV, and Witchcraft TV. And mi- minus a few technological technological issues, it was a great episode. Most of the stories were pre-recorded and played with no problem. We did have a little difficulty getting everyone on, but by next month, when the second episode airs, that I'm sure will be dealt with. Hello to Bimby in the chat room. Pagan News has four anchors: myself, Harold Sanford Carter, Chris Copeland, Reverend Mary Hawk, each of whom will do one story each month. And if you want to watch that broadcast, you'll find it on all of our platforms. And this month, Mary talked about the numerology of the eclipse and also efforts in Tennessee to make the Bible a state book, and why she feels this is problematic, at least the way that they're doing it. And Chris talked about guerrilla gardening and ecological efforts in Europe. Um, Harold talked about pagans in prison at the start of a series on this subject, and I interviewed Sarah Hartsong of Tullus Sanctuary, the author of the new book, Beltane Blessings and the Wisdom of Rhiannon. And Sarah will also be appearing on Midday with Reverend Don this week on Wednesday, when Chris and I will be interviewing her in a longer format. So I hope that you'll join us for that. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the energy centers of the Earth, vortices and meridians, what these are, how they work. And when we, oh, and Swack Fan says the numerology segment was awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. When we work with the crystal web, we're working with vortices and meridians. Um, Vortices and meridians can be either natural or artificial. And we'll be talking about all of that tomorrow. Um, on Thursday, we'll be talking about the energy centers of the body, chakras, and meridians. The meridians of the earth are ley lines. But we'll be talking about all of this on those days. And just as with the energy centers of the earth, the energy centers of the body um, are inherently natural, but can also be either artificially augmented or, in some cases, special artificial engines. So we'll talk about that perhaps a little bit. I think you'll find it interesting. Hello to Reverend Mary in the chat room, and Reverend Mary has traveled to see the totality of the eclipse. and I think it will be a spectacular event. Hopefully, she's joining us for our ritual, um, which will not disrupt being able to view the event. Um, I think that assuming you have your little eclipse glasses, which we do, and maybe a little eclipse shield for your phone if you want to video it, I think it's well worth watching. I don't believe there will be a similar eclipse visible from North America for I think it's 20 years, many years to come. And I do not personally expect to still be alive at that time, having reached a certain point in life. So for me, I'm expecting this to be my last total eclipse, at least in North America. Perhaps I'll journey somewhere to see another one. And as I've said, we've been working with solar eclipse energy for many years. We did our first crystal web solar eclipse ritual on May 10th of 1994. And for the exact same purposes that we're doing this one for. I've talked about how that 60th year is often said to be a reset, and certainly for me it has been. It's been a very interesting shift in my life. And the fact that I'm here in our Karelian homeland doing this ritual, more or less as we did all those years ago, is something I would not have expected at this point in life. And Mary says, yes, we will be joining you for the ritual. That's wonderful. So, having said all of that, I want to lead you through how to bless your ritual or to bless your crystal and how to turn it into an access point if that's what you want to do, or into an altar crystal, which is what this one will be for. So, let us begin by clearing and releasing all excess energy. Now, generally speaking, you want to create a circle. And I'm going to take a moment to do that, but I'm going to do it very simply because we're just running through this. So I want to take a moment to cleanse the energy. I'm going to imagine a beautiful yellow-white light running counterclockwise through my space, cleansing any and all negative energy out from this space. And of course, when we say negative energy, we don't necessarily mean anything oogie boogie. We mean uncharged or unfocused energy, most commonly. So we clear that out, and behold, we do exercise this space of any and all negative energy. And now I'm going to flood it with a beautiful blue-white light moving clockwise. And I see that beautiful blue-white light raising the vibration of the energy of my space. And I do charge this space for the sacred work I shall do here. And behold, I cast a circle around this sacred space. And I see that circle as a beam of white light moving clockwise around me, forming a circle around me, and then moving both upward and downward to form a cylinder around me, moving both over and under to form a sphere around me, so that I am within a sphere of white light, a perfect circle of white light, in all directions, in all dimensions. And behold, I do cut apart a place between the realms of humankind and of the mighty ones, a circle of art, to focus and to contain the powers I shall raise herein. And I do invoke the quarters, beloved ones of the East, powers of air and intellect. I invoke you and ask you to join me for this ritual, beloved ones of the East. I bid you hail and welcome. Beloved ones of the South, powers of fire and manifestation. I do invoke and invite you to join me for this sacred ritual. I bid you hail and welcome. Beloved ones of the West, powers of water and of emotion, beloved ones of the West, I do invoke and invite you to join me for this sacred ritual. I bid you hail and welcome. Beloved ones of the North, powers of earth and integration, I do invite you and invoke you to join me for this sacred ritual, and I bid you hail and welcome. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, beloved ones, knowing you are always with me, but from respect I invoke and invite you to join me in this ritual and to lend your aid to the work that I am doing here. Beloved ones, I bid you hail and welcome. I'm going to take my stone. I'm going to hold it between my hands. I guess I can hold it in front of the camera. And I want to begin by drawing into myself the powers of the universe. And I imagine the powers of the universe flowing into me, a beautiful white light filling me entirely, going to every part of my body, filling my body and filling my aura in all directions, so that it shines like a beautiful white sun. And above my crystal, I imagine a three-dimensional tetrahedron, a three-dimensional triangle, spinning slowly clockwise. And I imagine my triangle as clearly as I can see it. And I become aware of my heart chakra, and into my heart chakra, I summon the energies of the universe that I have placed into myself, and I see my heart chakra growing brighter and stronger and stronger and brighter. And from my heart chakra into my crystal, I send forth a beam of beautiful, clear green light. Into, not the crystal itself, but the tetrahedron above it, I send that beautiful green light, so that the tetrahedron becomes filled with beautiful green light, shining out in all directions. And as this happens, the tetrahedron changes into a cube of clear white light, still spinning clockwise and spinning progressively faster as it goes. And when that change has happened, I see the energy reverse and the green light coming back into my heart chakra from the cube of light, filling me now with beautiful green light that goes throughout my body and throughout my aura, until at length it comes back down my arm into my hand and fills the crystal with a beautiful green light. And behold, I charge you, O crystal, to accept this energy and attune yourself to me and to the crystal web and to the energies of this equinox, of this eclipse, and fill yourself in the ritual to come with the energies of the eclipse. I allow the crystal to fill with that beautiful green light until it has taken all that it can take. And now I'm going to allow that image to fade. I'm going to take a moment to take down my circle, and then we'll talk about what you do with the crystal afterwards. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great thanks and love for your presence and your aid this day, though we know you are always with us. But from respect, we bid you hail and farewell. Beloved ones of the North, powers of earth and integration, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and from respect, we bid you hail and farewell. Powers of the West, powers of water and of emotion, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and from respect, we bid you hail and farewell. Powers of the South, powers of fire and manifestation, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and from respect, we bid you hail and farewell. Powers of the East, powers of air and intellect, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and from respect, we bid you hail and farewell. Behold, I take down my circle, And I see the sphere of light becoming again a cylinder of light, and then a circle of light, and then slowly disappearing in a counterclockwise fashion. And behold, may the circle be open but unbroken. As above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. So mote it be. Now I take a moment to clear and release all excess energy. I want to say hello to Reverend Eric in the chat room and to Michelle in the chat room. It's good to see you both. Now, if you are creating with your crystal a crystal access point, what you're going to want to do is to create a hole to bury it in or a place to receive it. Um, they've also been known um, occasionally to be placed in water, in bodies of water, in various objects, but most commonly they're buried, and you'll want to do this when you're ready to create your access point. You may choose to do it during the later ritual, and then you want to cover it over, place your hands over it, charge the crystal to connect itself to the crystal web. And ideally, you should physically see it connect. You should see the white light go into it as you bless it, and then shoot out to the closest other crystal web access points. And because there are so many, there may be quite a few little beams of light shooting out from your access point as it connects. But if you're not accustomed to seeing energy, well, then you may not actually see it, but you should certainly feel it. If, however, you're doing what I'm doing, you will take your crystal and you will charge it again during the ritual this afternoon to attune to the energy of the eclipse. I will be opening the crystal web to attune the entire crystal web to the energy of the eclipse, to attune my crystal to the energy of the eclipse. And that is what we will be doing. And then I will place this upon my altar. Perhaps for important occasions, I may carry it. I made it a point to get one small enough to carry. And that is what we'll be doing. And you'll notice that I do occasionally have to search for words. I certainly know that an equinox and an eclipse are not the same thing, but I'm of an age now where that's something that's just going to happen, and it's part of the territory. Um, but I hope that you will join me for the ritual later. I think that it will be very empowering. And again, I am focusing on that energy of rebirth from the return of the sun's light, from that moment of chaos when the light disappears, and moment of rebirth when it returns. That is where I'm focusing my energy for the things I want to see develop going into the future. You can also focus on those things during the disappearance of the sun's light that you want to let go of. And I may do a little bit for that as well. Um, because really, this is a ritual of releasing and manifestation. As I say, I want to put my emphasis on the manifestation, but the releasing can be important also. And I don't know, is there anything else I should say about that? When you use a crystal web access point, the way that you open it is that you will see your crystal buried in its place within a cube of white light. You will send energy from your heart to that cube until it transforms back into a tetrahedron. That's how you know your crystal access point is open. And I want to point out that if you want to read more about this, you can go to corellian.com/crystal-web.html, and you'll find it all written for you. Um, but that's how you open it. And how do you close it? You simply let it close. It knows how to close on its own. You don't actually have to do anything. Just let the image fade. We often use the crystal web in rituals. We often um, use it for individual purposes of magic or healing or communication. And it is a very powerful engine. You can also join the monthly ceremony, which occurs on the 11th of each month, to heal and revitalize the crystal web. and I'll probably be talking more about those in future. They have been going on now for many years, and some of them in the past have been broadcast, some have been not, but they've been going on for a long time. So with that, I see that we're coming down toward the end of our half hour. Tomorrow, again, I'm going to be talking about vortices and ley lines, which are effectively the chakras and meridians of the Earth. And the crystal web itself is an artificial construction of synthetic vortices and ley lines. And as with stones, some people foolishly think that being created means it has no power. This is absolutely not true, and I would recommend my little sunstone here as a perfect example. Pick up a sunstone and feel its energy, particularly if it's being used magically, and you'll find that it's just as effective as any other stone. The fact that it is a synthetic stone, albeit made from natural substances, does not detract from its ability to be used. And I think this is true also of artificial vortices. And if we look at the great vortices that people commonly work with, some of them seem to be very clearly natural. Others, there are some questions as to whether they are natural or have been created through use. And hello to Mystique in the chat room. It's good to see you. Every time we create a magic circle, we're creating an artificial vortex. That's what it is. If you create a temple where you keep that energy constantly in motion, it will continue to go even when you're no longer there. The area will receive a charge from that constant use. This is how you would create an artificial vortex. It's one way to do it. With the crystal web, we don't use the energy constantly, but we use it very often. And that keeps it in motion. It keeps it going. And I was talking, was it just Friday? Maybe it was Friday. Maybe it was Thursday, but about how the idea of tomb offerings, of grave goods, is not as dependent on the physical items as some people sometimes think it is. The idea was to create the astral form of the item, and a physical version was often used as part of this process, but was not generally believed that that physical version needed to endure for the astral version to endure. It's the same with something like an energetic vortex. It takes on its own astral life if you use it enough. And, we've talked about how we constantly give out and receive energy as people, but also the geographic areas of the earth. This is part of that, how that happens, but we'll talk, I'm sure, more about that tomorrow. And with that, we have come to the end of our half hour. I do want to take a moment to recommend to you my Patreon. Tonight, I will be doing my weekly chat on Patreon. If you like my work and you would like to support it, Patreon is a very good way to do so. And you can find that at revdonlewis.com. And with that, I want to thank you for watching. And let us take a moment and let us close with a prayer, as we always do. And Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all the things you give us in our lives. We thank you for walking this path with us, even when we sometimes lose sight of you. But in truth, you are always there. We ask you to help us to stay focused always on the good, both that is around us and that we ourselves can create. Help us to attune to the energies of the universe and use them in the most positive manners. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you with great love and knowing you are always with us, but from respect, we thank you for your presence and may you be blessed now and always. And I thank you for your presence and may you be blessed now and always. And I'll see you again tomorrow.